Hi, in this video I'm going to give you a quick overview of some of the potential around Power BI reporting with our booking systems. This is a dashboard that we've created and is available to customers, and it can be used as it is or further customized either by the customer themselves or by us. Let's look at this dashboard. This is the main page, and you can see at a glance the number of bookings today and the various resource types including desks and rooms, bookings over the last 7 days, and the number of visitors in the building today. We can see the trends over time, the chart of bookings per site, and the top bookers in our system, who are the people who book the most. Now, we've got numerous tabs across the top. Again, this is customizable, and we've also got a filters page, so I can filter the whole report. We can filter based on particular date range, and so if I want to filter the whole report for the last month, for example, we can do that here. I might just say I want to see the whole report based on rooms rather than other space types, and we can do that. Or I might want to see a whole report, but just for Bristol, rather than Manchester. So let's say just rooms in Bristol, like this. And now our report is filtered. Now I'm just looking at rooms in Bristol on this tab and all the other tabs. So if I go forward to the utilisation tab, I can see the most booked rooms in Bristol. Are there any rooms in Bristol that are not booked at all? In my selected date range, there aren't. Well, that's a good sign. I can see trends of the days of the week for all the rooms in Bristol and the bookings by site. Of course, there's only one here because we've only got Bristol. If I want to clear those filters, I can just click the button at the top, and that will bring back all the other resource types, including desks, and the other sites, including Manchester. So now I can see the same information going across all the sites and all the resource types. And if you're not familiar with Power BI, it's also worth knowing that as well as those filters that filter that way, that the charts are interactive. So for example, if I type Bristol in this window here, it will filter the displays. You can see Bristol's filtered in this display, and in the charts you can see the other sites are greyed out like this. So I just tap it again. It will unfilter, and I can tap the other site. That one will filter like so. So that's the same for all the Power BI reports. The other thing I'll show you is that wherever you have a table of information like this, it's also possible that we can export this data. So I can export this data to CSV file for opening in Excel. I can also apply filters, and I'll say, look, here's all our desks and other spaces in Bristol that are not booked at all in our date range. You might want to look at why those resources are not booked. I could export that list for Bristol, like so. I could then create the same list for Manchester and export that one as a separate list. So let's go forward. We've got a monthly view. I can select which month I want to look at. This is March 2025. I can see the numbers of bookings for each day of the month. I can see that we've got weekends here where there aren't any bookings. And bear in mind that we're looking at a demo system here, so the numbers are low. I can also see for the month the number of organisers and the number of bookings each organiser has made. All the resources, room spaces, and so on. Number of bookings, and the number of bookings made on each day. And again, if I want to filter this just on rooms, for example, that's possible, like so. Or just desks, and I can unfilter just by clicking again. So depending on whether your booking system includes visitor management, we can also report on the number of visitors. This is more of a statistics view on visitors. It would also be possible to do a daily visitor chart. This one shows us all the visitors that have been, the number of visits from each visitor, and we can filter on whether the visitor arrived or not, and whether they're still expected, whether they were marked as departed, etc. We can see the companies that visitors have come from and where we get the most visitors, whether the visitor was pre-booked or whether they walked in and were booked at the time they arrived, and visitors per site. The approvals view lets us see information for those rooms where we have a delegate approval, and this ties in with Microsoft Exchange functionality. So if you have delegates on rooms where those delegates accept or decline meeting requests on behalf of the room, we can see the status of these approvals here. So we can see on our system we only have 2 rooms that are configured for delegate approval, and I can see the status of these individual bookings, whether it's waiting for approval, whether it's been approved, and whether the request was cancelled. And that means that the booker cancelled the meeting before the delegate had responded, or whether it was declined. Let's use this date range and filter on waiting, and I can just see which meetings are waiting for approval like this. This is useful for teams to be able to see which booking requests have been handled for all approval rooms at a glance. Sales is to do with catering and is useful for things like invoicing. So again, bear in mind that we can export any of these tables. And again, this can all be customized. So what we're seeing here are details of the bookings that have taken place with a catering order. And if I wanted to click on one of these meetings, it will show me exactly what was ordered within that meeting and the value of the catering for the meeting, like so. And the last tab we've got here is a table of all bookings for our date range. And again, this is a demo system, so we've only got 180 bookings here in the date range. Let me clear the filters because I know I narrowed the dates, 435 in total. And again, this could be useful. You can apply filters to get filtered lists of bookings here, which you can export as needed. And is pretty much just the kind of booking data that drives the rest of the charts in this report. As I said, this report is available as is, with any of our booking systems with some variations, and it's available to be customized. That could be small changes like branding, logos, colors. It could be bigger changes. For example, it's possible to add connections to additional data, such as Enter ID or an HR system, for user data where you can combine that with the booking data. Okay, so for more information, get in touch.